So, Damien, can you see and hear me now? How weird. Yeah, there's a software glitch here. It's boring the hell out of me. Yeah, Adam, but Adam, LinkedIn user, can you actually hear me there? I'm crystal clear now, you're saying? Oh, right. Am I in sync? I'm not to you, but people are telling me they are, Damien. Some people here that actually tuned in, they've actually bothered to come back, which I do appreciate, I have to say. So I'm looking over there. I'm just trying to sort this out. Got Marvin, Adil, Adam, and they're saying that I'm kind of in sync. Yeah. All clear. Okay, Chris. Let's do this then. All right, I'm going to cut Damien off now because he obviously got a dodgy connection. Cheers, Damien. Right, I'm trying a new app actually as well called Call Him. So I'm going to start this on there, and then it should record this. And then the idea is a bit like I'm trying calling. It's a bit like Clubhouse, but the idea is that you can actually turn this then into a podcast, or assuming somebody wants to listen to an audio, and then you can edit it as well. Um, right, so I'm not sure what happened there. There was some software glitch. All seems to be working at my end. Whew, I'm frazzled now. So there's a lot of stuff to go through actually this week. So I'm trying to do these every week. Let's see if people are coming in. We've got Adam, we've got Adil, we've got Marvin, Chris, Aaron, Fuzhan or Fuzhan. I've got that right. So if I'm ruining that. Saeed, First Principles, back again. I think you were here last time I did one of these, which is fantastic. And it's been hectic. So as ever, please go sign up on moblocks.com. I'm actually giving away a free module for my it's called startup.peersandleady.com. It's a startup sort of business course, but it's relevant to any small business, to be quite frank. And that module is on sales and marketing. So if you haven't done it already, go to moblocks.com right now and sign up. And I'm also penning a weekly newsletter. It's a private one, just goes to that group, the members I call you. And that's some thoughts, some insights, some news as well, some tips. I'm doing that once a week. I'm probably going to try and get it out tonight after I've done this. So I'll try and save some of the news I've got just for that. And again, you can always follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's all the same. It's Piers Linney. So I've been settling into the new Moblocks office, which is great. It's in central London, this one. Near Oxford, near the BBC, if you know where that is, Oxford Circus, quite central. It's a good location. And I might be getting a studio. I keep saying this, but we've been talking to the landlord about actually a sort of a studio. And it might be a studio where, and I know not everyone's around London, obviously, but it might be a studio where you can drop in, maybe use our facilities, do a podcast, maybe get involved in some of our content. So we are sort of gearing up now to start publishing content. So written content, video, and having this studio could be fantastic. It means that I don't have to faff around with technology, and it might actually work. Helpful. It'll be set up, ready to go, and then we may do things like webinars and roundtable conversations, and it could be a really useful resource for Moblocks team and perhaps our customers and members. We also got Piotr. Good to see you again. Lucy. Good to see you. Right, let's get going. So I don't know. This is used right. So if you're not in the UK, it's probably less interesting to you. Although some of the same issues are probably similar issues wherever you are. And this is like in the UK, I've been sort of recruiting, and you just don't have conversations now about recruitment that's sort of based in Europe. It's just quite unbelievable. You sort of cut off the access to supply of talent. Then look at engineering talent as well. It's a bit of a nightmare, but it seems to be worse than that. So you've got this is from City AM. The paper kind of circulates around used to. It's mostly online now, like anything else. Severe shortages of raw materials, labour supply. In the UK, you've got this thing called furlough, where the government has basically been, to a certain extent, like 80% funding people who employers can't afford to pay. And that's coming to an end in the end of September. So we've got about 3 weeks left of that, less. And that's going to be really interesting because essentially the real impact of the pandemic has kind of been delayed. So we don't really know what's going to happen when furlough ends. Are people going to be, employment's lower than we thought it would be, inflation's lower than we thought it would be? Is there going to be a spike in unemployment? Are people going to be let go? We just don't know yet. Will it have an impact on spending? So we're going to find out. And it's a really, I keep saying this, I want to have some like positive news, but it's really hello Damo. Damien's there, the guy who's helping me. It's really sort of uncertain times. So I don't really know yet, and it's gonna take a while to flush through. It's gonna take a while before we see any numbers out of the government in terms of how things are looking. And it's just saying in this article here that a staggering 67% of businesses said that a paucity of suitable candidates to fill roles was putting the brakes on recruitment activity. And I can attest to that. I think that in the UK at least, and I'm not going to mention the Brexit word, is not it's not doing us any favors at all. We've got a shortage of flipping lorry drivers, never mind software engineers. So that's something. And also, you're probably not aware you are in the world. We're all going to be suffering this. We've seen some sort of intentions to raise taxes. So, I was on the board of the government bank in the UK. We went from 10 billion to 90 billion of support for small businesses, which is fantastic. You got the furlough schemes, SEIS scheme, people that were self-employed as well. It's all good stuff. But at some point, we, the collective we, the taxpayer, we're going to have to pay for this. And it's a question about when, how, who, and how much. So we're starting now to see that in order to fund the NHS, essentially, social care, that they're increasing national insurance. And national insurance is paid by both the employee and the employer in most cases. So they've already seen our potential hit. So if you've got a small business, you've got to start thinking about this in that, you've got the uncertainty on one side, we've got winter coming. Are we going to see a sort of an uptick? I was watching something today. There was one of the ministers talking about another lockdown. I mean, so as I keep saying, don't put your foot on the pedal blindly. Keep some powder dry and just see how this plays out before you really, go all guns blazing into growth or spending money. Um, that's not the same for everybody, but that was a really interesting actually. I think the tax hike as well. The everyone freaked out about. I made a comment as well in the media about that. I don't think it's a good plan to be attacking. Not attacking is the wrong word. To be taxing small businesses first. What annoys me is that the 60% of private sector employment, 50% of GDP is produced by small businesses, right? They're the ones that are actually there's more small businesses being created. Another article I read about more people who want to be entrepreneurs now, and adults. I think it's 1 in 7 now. That's how we're going to climb out of the hole no matter where you are in the world. And taxing small businesses is I know that it all adds up to a big number. But we've got to start thinking about large businesses. Are they paying their fair share? We all know there's issues about the kind of amount of tax that they're paying. So I'm not sure why they're starting there. But somewhere somehow they're going to have to pay for I think it's 450 billion, whatever it was, used to support the economy. So try and do this for an hour so you don't get bored. Hopefully don't. It's try and get 10 questions in. We've got some more people coming in there. First principles here again. So I've got a couple of questions. So one is early on today, about a couple of hours, I actually had the pleasure actually of opening doing a keynote for Google, the SMB sales, great business as we all know. And it's interesting that they actually have, I think it's like over 1,000 salespeople in this sort of in the sort of SMB sales, and they're basically helping people, use and be successful through Google Ads. And the theme was about resilience. So they're asking about resilience as well and about sales. And I made 2 points actually, which I'll share. So they're asking me, what do you think? What do you think about those moments where your world's fallen to pieces? What do you do and how do you rationalize it? And I was saying that I've been there in business where I was sat in a lawyer's office once with literally the death warrant of one of my businesses in my hand, to get it sort of notarized essentially, or to put it into administration. And I remember sitting there thinking the whole world crashing around me. I remember looking at the TV screen, and Sir Philip Green, who in the UK you'll know was is a well-known entrepreneur that had a few issues, and he was in a government select committee being grilled about why he'd sort of, you know, destroyed a pension scheme, people's lives and their sort of life savings. And I thought to myself, there's always somebody having a worse day. So the point I made to them was that, in that moment of crisis where you think this is it now, and you're very sort of self-centered, thinking about yourself. You have to stop and kind of try and zoom out, because in 2 days it'll look different. In a week, it'll look completely different. In a year's time, you might look back at that moment and think, "You know what? That was actually a great moment. That was something where I actually learned something." And I've had many of those moments. So, and the idea is just to, resilience is not always about just the pain and dealing with it and gritting your teeth. It's about how you recover from it, and how you sort of take time to sort of gather your thoughts and gather yourself, even physically sometimes, and come back. But come back, you will. I always get asked about entrepreneurs about this, that, and the other, and I say, entrepreneurs, we don't stop doing stuff or building businesses because it's raining or because there's been a global pandemic. It doesn't matter. This is what you do, and you're going to continue to do it as well. Another question I was asked, this was on Simon, I think it was Simon here on DM on LinkedIn, was am I going to require my team to return to the office? Now, I've started a new business, which is Moblocks, which is basically basically it's a technology company. The first pure technology company I've really done. And we're connecting small businesses with technology. You've got explosion of technology for small businesses that just don't know how to deal with it, how to adopt it, how to procure it. And we're going to change that. It's product by product, service by service. And some heavy engineering to do to make that happen. And we built the business virtually. So we've got a team of probably 10 people, been working together for 6 months, never met each other. I was amazed that when you meet people, how tall they are, or not, as the case may be. So that was interesting. And then we're now in an office where we're sort of meeting now. You see a lot of companies. Some are saying you're going to have to come back. There'll be a mandate, and some are, they're basically they're getting rid of their offices. Some never had an office. Look at Coinbase, people like that. And I think it's a mistake to require people, unless you have to. If you're working in a warehouse driving a forklift truck, you're going to struggle to do that from home. But requiring people to return to an office, I think, is a mistake. I think you might have to find a balance and based on your business, your culture, because no matter what people say, no matter how clever the technology is, there's nothing like being in a room with somebody. It's been a different engagement, but different relationships now, because we've been out, we've spent time together, we've been out for a drink, we've been eating together. It's just different, and you can't beat it. So I think, in my view, you do need to have that to some extent. If someone's working overseas, again, it's harder again. But get people together physically if you can, and maybe you have a policy where it's a day, it's a week, maybe it's not a firm policy. And one issue that you need to think about, though, is that in contract, this is UK law. I don't know where they weren't coming in for far, they might come in more often. So the little things like that where you need to think about the structure and how you structure it legally. But I think requiring people to come back to the office is a bad idea. Also, what this sort of distributed sort of workforce move towards allowed us to do is to really embrace diversity. It doesn't matter, most people, most CEOs or founders, they get an office because they like the neighborhood or because they live nearby, and that's random. And you're then requiring people to live within a 30-minute, hour tops commute of a spot on a map that you happen to choose because you happen to like the Greek restaurant down the road, whatever it is, which is crazy. So having people working remotely now using this kind of technology means that you can embrace people for their talents, as opposed to where they live and whether they can afford to get to the office. So let's move on to some other questions rather than the ones that are being DM'd to me. I'm going to swing to the top again. Let's have a look. So there are people here talking about me being able to actually hear me now. So let's start with Marcus, the first one I've seen here. Let me just expand this. So it's from Marcus Greenway on Facebook. I don't get many from Facebook. Hello, Marcus. Have you ever invested in a saddle company? I wasn't expecting that. Equestrian trade. I would love to start up one, but I've no experience business wise. I would need staff to cover that. Would it be hard to set up? No, is the answer to that. I remember when I was on Dragon's Den, there was a company that came in that they were selling this high vis jacket that said on it, I think it was polite notice, but it was the graphics, just like I said, police stop, and apparently it's quite effective. So it's not quite a saddle company. I do have a friend from where I grew up in the north of England who does have a sort of a horse riding business, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the business is. It doesn't matter whether it's saddles, whether it's software. The point is that I'm assuming you've got is you can see a market for a particular kind of saddle, one you want to produce. I don't know whether it's a cheaper one, it's a high grade one. I don't know. But the point is, you see a market for your product, and there's a question of getting out there and testing that. It's testing the hypothesis, essentially. That's what this is. And you know, you, most founders don't have any business experience, and I hate the word founders. I don't hate it; it's a bit strong. The word founder tends to be used in the kind of the tech space. I mean, any person that starts a business typically has no business experience. I didn't have any when I started a business. I had some like side hustles, but nothing you'd call proper sort of business experience in terms of how to operate a business. I knew how to raise finance. I happened to be an investment banker and a lawyer. I had some skills, but not operational. One of the things that on the Google conference today we're talking about is one thing I learned very quickly is sell, and then go and sell some more. That's how you're successful. So you don't automatically need staff to cover that. I've done lots of my you look at the other sort of videos and live chats about co-founders and bringing people in. If you've got a particular skill set, I always say, and I did a video on my YouTube channel here. I think if I can actually find it, see if it actually works. Um, let's have a look. That you're thinking of, whatever that is. And then you want to find people that can sort of augment your skill set, that can support you, that can fill the, and that can be really hard when you're starting out because you can't really afford to pay anybody anything unless you put some of your own money and you're raising money. You've got your savings, but often although it can be quite painful, the cost of bringing somebody in, that can be local. You can find someone on a digital platform that's got a relevant skill set, say it's design or something, reasonably cheaply overseas, but bring people in to try and fill your skills gaps. And what you'll find sometimes is, you look at that video, is where even though they're costing you something, the time it frees up for you to go and do what you do best and where you add the most value, you can actually make more money. So, if you look at, if you're maybe not what you're doing, but a lot of people, their income is, time times price. So if you can actually increase the amount of time you've got by, getting someone to do the mundane stuff, the admin, or you can also come back to price, maybe another time. But if you can increase more, get more time, and you can charge more for it, you may find over time, and then you put your price up, you may actually find that you have fewer customers, but actually you're making more money. So yes, network, talk to people, try and augment your own skill set, but don't be afraid of starting a business because you've never been in business. And that's just it's quite obvious. Otherwise, nobody would probably start a business. And if you want to DM me or talk about it a bit more, let me know. But I've got quite a few videos about that. And if you do, I'll send. If you do go find a co-founder, someone to help you or get involved from day one, be very careful how you structure those relationships. Make sure that if that relationship doesn't work out and you end up getting divorced, essentially, that you've got a legal structure to part company as fairly as possible. So otherwise, and I had a conversation with another entrepreneur this week about this, with quite a big business where his founder hasn't really done much for quite a long time, and he was the technical partner, and he hasn't really been involved for quite a long time. So now his business is taking off, creating value. The valuation is going up year after year, and this other chap isn't really doing much. So, but they've got no legal structure to part company. So typically that gets messy. Hope that was useful, Marcus. So just do it, and try and find people, mentors, advisors, whoever you can, and try and incentivize them in clever ways, but just get out there and do it. All right, Gail. I never read these at advance, so this can go anywhere, as you just found out. Gail, hi there. I stepped away from my role in banking. I've been there, got the t-shirt, used to work for Credit Suisse, to follow a dream and start a luxury candle business. Oh, got a story about that. Buick, is that right? Yeah, BuickHouseCandles.com. It's luxury. The premise is luxury and affordable price. I set up to be able to scale, struggling to get online sales and recognition. Now, believe it or not, I've been in the candle business. I nearly lost my shirt. This is when I was quite young actually. My mum was great at sort of like wedding flowers, doing things like that. And I've always been interested in finding something that I could sell basically. This is actually pre-internet. That sounds nuts, doesn't it? But this is when I was sort of a teenager. I was always interested in mail order and the US mail order market, fascinated by it. I was looking at different products, and this was the time when candles, all these like beautiful sort of candles, arrived on the scene. And I don't know, for a time did okay. Then my mum sort of actually started a candle related business, a retail business, and that didn't work out. So we had to get out of that. But the reason was because then all the big players, the big box players like Tesco they all started doing flipping candles, and quite nice candles actually. So it was really hard to compete with them on price. And people have, and I've come across quite a few people over the years that have started candles business, and they've all been, as you seem to be, very high end. Even Joe Malone, businesses like that. A lot of them, were fragrances, candles, super high end. And I've seen another person who I've sort of seen for quite a while. She was doing one which was, it was, I can't remember where the wax came from. It was some specialist wax, and it was all made sort of organic or natural, whatever it was. Very expensive things. And the point is, just like any business, is that there's a lot of noise out there. You would have thought, someone said to you, "I'm starting a luxury candle business." A lot of people will do that, but there's a lot of people around there. A lot of people who have been in the sort of, have got time, and actually, in a lot of cases, dare I say, a lot of people that started these businesses have some money because they tend to come from a certain background. I don't know if you do or not. Now, online sales and recognition. I don't know about recognition. I don't know if you mean by PR there or just actually conversions, but this is the eternal struggle for any business that's relying with online sales. And that, again, going back to my conversation today, my keynote for Google, their team there actually, they focus just on helping people be successful using Google Ads. So it's all about the cost of CPA, the customer acquisition cost, and obviously the customer has an expected lifetime value. In your case, it's more of a just converting a sale and making a margin. And this is where you have to find somebody, because I'm no expert at this. I have to work with people that know what they're doing. I've actually got a call tomorrow with a chap in New York who's an expert in this, and I've actually gone that far to find someone that really knows what they're talking about to sort of talk us through the process and SEO and managing that. And this is the real skill. And two things. One is there's a lot of people out there saying they're a digital marketing expert, and they're probably not. They're just going to take off you a retainer. They always want a retainer. Then they want a percentage of your spend. That needs to be X per month. And then they don't deliver much, then disappear. Avoid those people like the plague. And the way you do that really is to test them. So the beauty of digital marketing, and this is, if you ignore the complexity of these platforms and how they all work, that's something you can spend hours and hours, days, weeks learning. We're probably better off to find someone to understand how that works. But then the beauty of it is it is real time data. So if you have a product, right, and you're convinced there's a market for it, that's a key thing. You want to test that, don't you? And this doesn't matter whether it's tech or not, product market fit, whatever you want to call it. Is there somebody out there willing to buy your product? Enough people at a sensible margin where you can make some money and build a business. That's what it boils down to. So what you can do now, which you can never do before, when you put an advert on a bus stop, you never knew how many people really walk past it, how that converts into sales. It would take months to find out, and it was a bit hit or miss. Digital marketing, you can spend £50 or dollars, whatever currency you're using, euros, and you can work out exactly, did it work, and if not, why not? A/B test it, have different versions, try different copy, try different pricing, test your tone of voice, try different creative. Just keep testing, and it can be quite time consuming and laborious, but keep testing every variable in your marketing mix until eventually you'll find the optimal mix. And when you find the optimal mix, one thing it might tell you that you know you need to change something in the business, the product or the customer, whatever. But assuming you've got that right, when you find the optimal mix, you can then start throwing money at it. So when someone says to you, "I'm a digital marketing expert, give me a retainer of 2 grand a month, and then I'll probably need 5 grand a month, and I want 15% of that," tell them to jog on. Get someone that's willing to work with you on the basics and optimize that. Go through that process to optimize your digital marketing strategy until it actually works, and you've got a return. Then you can scale it. And if they're not willing to do that, they're the wrong person. I hope that was helpful. And the world, and I'm stepping away from banking. Problem with banking is that you earn a lot of money, and you're always waiting for the next bonus, and people find it very hard to leave. So walking away is well done on that. Scrolling down. Where are we now? It's 7:10. First principles. Hello again, first principles. I think you were here last time, so thank you for coming back. Getting repeat viewers is actually quite exciting. Um, let's hope your question is it an inherently bad idea to start a business with somebody you do not know? I'm looking for back to the co-founder question, are we? I'm looking for a co-founder with a passion for the product and specific technical skills. I hear this a lot. I don't know whether this is something out on sort of social media about going finding a co-founder. And I did a talk actually at Antler, that was the one, and they're like a VC fund, but they almost find people who want to start businesses before they've actually got a business idea, and quite often they help people step out of jobs, just like Gail has done. And often when they get together, these groups of people, they form into groups, and many, more than half, I think it is, I don't know the exact number, they found co-founders and build businesses. We don't necessarily, I said it earlier actually, you don't necessarily need to go and find a co-founder. What you might want is somebody that adds value, or fills in gaps in your skill set or knowledge, or depending how much money you've got, you might need someone that can consult, or get involved, or become an employee and they get some kind of equity incentive. So, number one, to answer your question directly, which is what I should be doing, um, it's not a bad idea to start a business with somebody you do not know. However, before you start it, you need to get to know them. So spend some time with them, spend time with people that they know, spend time with their friends and their family and their spouses, just to work out who they really are, because that's how you really learn something about somebody. So you really need to understand who these people are in as deep a way as possible, and then really spend a lot of time talking about the business, how you're going to work, who's going to do what, who's going to be the boss. You do need a boss. I have actually been a co-CEO, and that worked quite well because myself and my business partner are still very good friends. We're very different people, completely. So there's no overlap really. So we work really well together. If there were two peers lineages, it would be an unmitigated disaster working together. I can tell you right now. So what you really want is to find someone that isn't you, first of all, and who's the boss. So what you then get into very quickly sometimes is a conversation about who's the CEO, who's the COO, what am I going to do, and then in equity. And equity is really important. And I said earlier that if you're going to start a business with somebody, it is a marriage, and it's going to last at least decade. It needs to. I think for the business to really get where you want it to be, especially if you want to sell a business. Very few businesses get sold into the 3 to 5 years you hear for VC investments. They're usually somewhere down the track before that happens. So call it a decade. And if you're going to get divorced, you need a prenup. And that looks like a shareholder agreement or a partnership agreement. And that's got some mechanism in it that allows you to part company. So you've got to be really careful about co-founder structures, and make sure that you're covered legally. Now, you're looking for someone who's a co-founder, passion for the products and specific technical skills. You definitely want to have a passion for the product and the service as much as you have. But technical skills, you can mean, you might want a technical co-founder, an engineering co-founder. But technical skills you can hire or bring in sometimes, it depends on how much money you've got, or if you can find a way of incentivizing people, it can be hard to do. But be very careful about just saying to someone, right, here's 25 to 50% of the business. They get involved. You've got no legal structure. 2 years down the line, you fall out. There's no other way of saying it. And you suddenly, someone's walked away with half your business and they've got no way of taking it off them. Happens all the time. Simon Dixon, the founder of Money Supermarket in the UK, I don't know the exact numbers, right? So don't quote me on this. But he had a co-founder. He's around for 2 or 3 years, whatever. He had to buy him out a decade later for about 100, over 100 million. He hadn't done anything for 8 years. So just beware of that. It's a lot of cash. Yeah, and you're saying here that another way is to pay a specialist contractor. If you've got on Moblocks, yeah, I'm the founder CEO, and I've got some great people that have helped me, get build a business and actually, really have added value to the strategy and what it is we're trying to do and what we're launching. But some are consultants, some have joined and become employees, and they're people that I have worked with before as well, and they've left very good jobs to join me. And in my view, you have to give them some kind of equity upside in the business. So you can structure that in terms of options, equity if you want, options, the EMI option scheme in the UK, and options give you a way of structuring it. You have, often you'll hear things like good leave or bad leave or vesting, so that people's interest vests over time, or if they do something stupid, they can take the shares off them or their options lapse. There's lots of ways you can structure these things, and lots of ways that institutional investors structure them as well. So just do a bit of research and make sure. But yes, if you're, and also don't forget, if your business is successful as it grows, and you can then afford somebody that has that skill set. So is it worth giving away half your company or 25%, whatever the number is, for a period of time for somebody to fill that gap when longer term you probably don't need them, and you may find out they're actually the wrong person for the job, which is, that can happen very quickly. Liam's getting all technical with me about buzzing and 800 megahertz setting. I don't know, Liam. I've got a roadcast here, lots of flashing lights, and it's a great bit of kit. And I don't know. I just rebooted everything, and it just seemed to work. This happens when I'm doing this in a spare room. When I hopefully get the studio set up, I won't have to. It won't happen. Ian, yeah, it's the Piers radio show. I can actually do music as well. There you go. We'll leave that out. Right, here we go. Layla Blue. Nice name. I run a cleaning company, and during the lockdown, I put together a cleaning course. Great idea. Teaching people how to start their own cleaning company. Good stuff. I just haven't been able to sell the course. Yeah, I've been there as well. So I created a course. So I did a course, which if you go and sign up at moblocks.com, let me go and press the button here. You'll get a free module on sales and marketing. So please do go and do that. Yeah. So the thing about courses is I thought, right, I'm going to create a course. People ask the same questions all the time. So I do these live chats. I say, yeah, I quite enjoy them. But you get asked the same question quite a lot. And I thought there must be on the internet somewhere where they can go and get the answers. And when you look at the internet, it's a load of noise and people trying to sell you stuff. So I sort of thought, oh, I'll make a couple of videos, and a bit of content to help people. If someone called me and said, I happen to know Piers, he'll give you a few tips. And they had a cup of coffee with me, and then we talk for an hour about a particular issue. Yeah, it's that kind of level, which is what most people want, because they understand the issue. They can go away and do their own research, or you can point them in the right direction. And I thought I'll do anyway. It turned into 76 lessons and about 10 and a half hours of content. It nearly killed me making it, but I got there in the end. And then it's about marketing it, and I've never been particularly good at that. It is for sale. I did sell quite a few at sort of a higher price, and then it's going to come down now. And I use it sometimes in competitions, the giveaway. I'm quite proud of it, and it's video but you read and you people on YouTube about they've launched a course and they made $2 million within 24 hours, and that's it. They go on holiday for the next 2 years. Yeah, they've worked long and hard at that, and they've got a formula that they have, and a lot of it's nonsense, quite frank as well. Don't forget, whatever numbers they give you, halve it at least. But even then, $1 million is still good stuff. but it's about marketing, and what they spend a lot of time building up, a following, an email list, talking to those people, and they kind of build up to a launch. And there's a lot of kind of MLM sometimes, marketing techniques involved, multi-level marketing, and affiliate marketing, which is fine. And they build up this sort of momentum almost, this sort of a wall of water behind the dam of interest, and then let it go, and they sell quite a lot of these things. But there's a skill to it, and there's some good people out there. I can't mention the name, remember the names. Never mind mentioning them. Good people out there who have courses on how to sell courses, believe it or not. So there is a way of doing it. I bought like online funnels. It does work. I just don't have the time. So if you think you can just knock up a course, throw it on Teachable or whatever you put it, put out a few emails on Twitter or tweet, and then hope people are going to buy it, you might get one or two, but they're not. It's a full time occupation. It's something you need to devote a huge amount of time to and learn. What you might find is that your first course isn't the right course, or the one which makes you the kind of attorney you thought it was going to. What you've done, though, as I always say, you've learned about the process, how to make a course, what works, what doesn't. Look at other successful courses. You might have to pay for them, find out what they've done, and then just keep working on it. But absolutely, your approach there about you're good at something. They're running a cleaning company, you're saying here, and you've put on a course how to start a cleaning company is a great idea fundamentally, because a lot of people could go and do exactly that. It's then a question of, yeah, are you talking to the right people? Are you really talking to people that are thinking of starting a cleaning company or something like that? If you're not going to sell money either. And then I haven't seen your course. It's about what a course is about: transformation. You're selling a dream. You're saying that here you are today, and here you're going to be tomorrow after you've completed this course. And that's a transformation. It's a life change. It's some kind. You've added some real value to that person's life. That's what you're selling, but without, like many people do, overcooking it and selling dreams that they can't deliver on. I've seen so many business courses that cost infinitely more than mine, and I've looked at them, I've paid for them, got access to them. They're utter nonsense. So, don't be that person. Make sure you're really adding value. Colin, you saying I never answer you? Where's your question? I'm looking up for it, Colin. No, can't see your question, Colin. Yeah, and Layla, just to go back to your thing about funnels on my course, there's a lot of noise on the internet about the companies about sales funnels, and they all do a similar thing, and they all have similar functionality at the end of the day. Um, it still does boil down to product and your audience, and also your prospects. If the top of that funnel is still wrong, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to filter through or fall through. Your conversion rate's going to be very, very low. You still got to work on, getting the right people into the top of that funnel. And then there's tried and tested ways of converting people. I mean, the old webinar, sign people up, get, is it a live webinar? Is it a recorded webinar? And then you give them something of value. Then it's £97 or 999. There's so much stuff out there, but a lot of people overpromise and underdeliver. And people have made a lot of money doing that. Um, I don't know how, might be your MO, I don't know. But I don't think that's the way to do. If you want to make a career out of it, is just, really have something which transforms somebody and takes them step by step and provides value that they can't just go find on YouTube, which is what you're competing with. I've learned a lot of things from YouTube. I learned to video edit on YouTube. You'd have to pay for an expensive course, and just keep going at it. Michelle Garcia. Hi, I'm bringing a new product to market. There's no competition. That's rare. It's the first in our marketplace. As with all entrepreneurs, you have a shoestring to work with. As our company's gone into R&D, patents, now we have a full working product. We're taking orders. Is there any more to this? Taking orders. Is that it? Right, I know what the question is. I mean, your shoestring to work on, absolutely right. And just on this is a really tricky one. This about IP. So be careful about spending a huge amount of money on IP. And I know I think I'm sort of gleaning from what you're saying there. I see this quite a lot. Is I've got this product, it's unique. No one else ever done it before. And I want to keep it in stealth mode and hidden away. And I'm going to spend a fortune on protecting it and patents and intellectual property, making sure I've protected intellectual property rights. And then we're going to come out and the world's going to, fall over itself to buy it. Sadly, you might be lucky, but that's rarely the case. So really, really still do your work on working out is, does the world need or want your product? Until you've actually reached out to the world, you're actually not going to know. And that might be a small closed group. It might be you've tested it. It might be an MVP. And what is this? Is I'm not sure what it is exactly. It might be a prototype, whatever it is, and try it and get feedback and talk to people just to make sure that your hypothesis holds water, that people are interested in buying it, and also at the kind of price. No point have a product that people aren't willing to pay the right amount for, so you can't make a profit. That's not going to work either. And you've got a shoestring to play with, as you correctly say. So an IP lawyer will take 50, 100K off you quite happily. That's what they do. If you ask them to do their job, they'll go and do it for you. But be careful as well whether it's a process pattern, a real pattern, whether people can easily work around it. Is it? It's very rare. It's very hard to protect things these days quite often because there's not much new under the sun. I'm not saying what you haven't got there isn't new, but just don't go and blow that limited budget you're referring to there on patents. Make sure that you've got a working prototype that it's as fully formed as you can make it, and then maybe start thinking about protecting it. Because what you'll find is that I don't know if this is international or not, but a patent doesn't mean anything in a lot of places. So if your product really is, a game changer and it can be sold all over the world, you're going to find it appearing somewhere else anyway, and you're going to need a lot more money to stop that from happening. So just balance where you're spending the money. It's better to spend it in R&D potentially initially and testing, iterating, product market fit, talking to people than it is sometimes in IPRs. And someone's going to say to me, "What are you talking about? You've got to protect your IP." Yes, you have, but there's no point. You're not going to start a business if you spend all your money on patent lawyers. That's the point I'm making. Right? Any more questions? Piotr, Lucy. No more. If you've got any more questions, fire them over because I'm kind of running a bit thin here. I need to squat. I think we missed a few here somewhere, but fire them over. Yeah, and Gail, yeah, walking away from banking. Businesses, RIP, £20, good margins, did the research. Yeah, so Gail, going back to your digital marketing, is you've done the research, you think you've got a market, you've got an RRP, and it's not completely bonkers. Some candles can be, 200 quid that I've seen. Um, just take my advice. Just do the work on your optimizing your marketing strategy because you don't have to spend thousands of pounds on it. You can spend 50 quid on Facebook and you'll get some understanding. You'll get data that tells you something. And it can be 100, 200, 500, and you keep going from there. But just don't throw money at it initially until you're pretty certain you're getting a return on it. And then what you're finding now is that this is more for recurring revenue businesses, is that a general point is that there are more and more funding mechanisms now and outfits like I spoke to a venture debt fund the other day, and they will fund your marketing spend as long as you can show a positive return. So what they're saying is, and Clearco is another one, there's Pipe.com, which is sort of more revenue funding. But what they're saying is that it will plug into your Google Ads account, will plug into your bank account. If you're spending a pound over here, or a dollar, or euro, and over here we're seeing three come back in, they're going to fund your marketing spend all day long. And what that means is the great news is that you no longer now, seeing you, this is more recurring revenue, by the way, but typically no longer now do you have to go and give away a quarter of your business or more to some investor or venture capital fund for marketing spend. You can basically fund it with what's essentially debt, but it's kind of confined to your marketing spend in many ways, and that's going to change funding growth businesses fundamentally. We're going to see a big change there in terms of how capital can be accessed and deployed in growth businesses. LinkedIn user, what's your views on selling via Amazon? Be good to get your take. Is it a really sustainable business? So I actually toyed with this. I was fascinated by Amazon FBA. You saw this stuff on YouTube, and people, I'll change your life. You can sell a product on Amazon and do more. It's easier in the US, like drop shipping. Now you'll never need to see the product. And I've got a friend that sold how do I put this? A personal product that he rebranded in China and sold in Amazon as well. So I've seen some people try this, and some have done it successfully, but it's like any business. It's a business. The fact it's on Amazon doesn't mean anything. That's just logistics, and you know, very. It makes your life a lot easier in terms of your ability to actually stand these things up and deliver things and deal with. You've got a website, you've got a payment mechanism, you've got logistics, you've got a way of actually having returns dealt with. It's fantastic. It means you don't have to have any infrastructure. And my friend actually never saw that product. It literally came in from China. It went to some I don't know, some intermediary. They checked what should be in the box was in the box. They entered it into some stock system. That went off to Amazon FBA. He then was selling on Amazon, doing the marketing. And then when he had low stock, he'd start again. Fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's a business. So you've got to do your homework. And there's ways of doing it, actually. You can actually, various tools you can use to see what people are looking for, what they're interested in. Can you find a niche in a niche in a niche? But then that niche actually, especially if it's global, can be quite a big market. It could be a big business. And then you do the work. And then it's a question of marketing. There's no difference. There is no magic to starting a business on Amazon or eBay or any other platform. It's the same thing. All they're doing, what it really means is you can start a business, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to. So that's the opportunity. The opportunity is that if you can find the right products at the right price, and you can source it at the right price, so you can generate the right margin, and you get your marketing right. Going back to the answer to Gail's question, it just happens to be on not always on Amazon, but you're able to get up in the rankings, and do what needs to be done. You can build a business, and you can build quite a nice business that you can even have a side hustle. You can have a full-time job and do this as well. But like anything else, and there's companies in America now, which is fascinating actually. They do micro acquisitions. So you build a quite a nice drop shipping Amazon business, gets a certain size scale, you've got the right metrics, they'll buy it off you. There's a set deal. And then you go off and start another one and build that, and they'll buy it off you again. You can keep doing it. And people are having quite nice lives, just literally building these businesses and moving them on to these sort of scale M&A, mergers and acquisitions and aggregators. It's fascinating. It's not quite as well developed in the UK yet, but it'll come. So it is sustainable, but there'll come a point if you really want to scale it, so you don't have to. If you've got a day job, you don't want to do that anymore. It becomes a full-time job. But don't get lost on the fact that it's Amazon. It's just a business. Right, where are we? We've got a minute left, so we've got two more questions now. LinkedIn you. Hi, Piers. Lovely to see you. So I've started a new membership for the handmade industry. We have retained 96% of our members for the past 8 months. That's pretty good going, actually. Ratio, however, is growth, because handmade seems to be behind in terms of I'm not sure handmade is LinkedIn user, so I'm struggling there a little bit. Now, I don't know. I'm assuming it's a membership that they are paying some kind of monthly subscription. So 94% churn over a year, or over 8 months, is pretty good going. So you should be issue is growth. See, normally, unless you've got a sort of a limited market and you've kind of saturated already, there's only a few people who buy this. Normally, if your churn is low and you're bringing in new customers, new subscriptions, then what should happen is that your revenue should just pile up very quickly. So there's a stat. I'm going to be using some software in my new business called Segment actually, and a lot of their marketing. They talk about this stat that if your business has got say 5% churn, and then you reduce it to 2.5% over a 5-year period, your business is twice as big. So churn in a subscription recurring revenue business is your enemy. If you're bringing in new customers, if you bring in a customer and then over a 1 year, 2-year period, they leave because that goes down to zero, then over time, no matter how what you do, they all leave. So at some point, if you stop bringing in customers, then you end up with no customers. In your case, if they're kind of flatlining and staying for a long period of time, as you bring other ones in, it kind of layers up like sediment. So you've got a fantastic retention, fantastic retention metrics there. So yeah, so growth is the issue. So it's very hard to sort of get into what it is exactly you do. But again, if it's digital, it's going back to the point I made to Gail. It's about perfecting that, and then you will kill it if you can start adding customers with those kind of numbers. Now, I don't know whether that in month 9 you lose 95%. We don't know yet, do we? But keep measuring that and measure cohorts, measure it kind of month by month as they come in and track them and to see what they look like over time. Um, but this is the future. Though. This is, I mean, talk about Amazon, right? An Amazon business, yeah, that's great, yeah. But it's physical products and moving it around. It can be hard work. You can create a business like this. Like, of course, is another great example because it can be a subscription or one-off payment, but a recurring revenue business, one where on the January the 1st every year, you've got coming in what you had on the end of December the previous month. You haven't got to start again with zero like you do with a sort of a static traditional kind of shop or even Amazon because you've got to start from scratch. Recurring revenue. I mean, that's what Amazon Prime is. I said this in another video. Is that Amazon Prime? I can't remember the numbers now, but it's like 250 million Americans are on there paying whatever it is, $6 a month. That's an enormous business before Jeff Bezos has actually sold a bean. It's absolutely genius that he turned a shop into a recurring revenue business. Yeah, you get some video for it, but it's kind of paying for that. So if you can do any business as recurring revenue, if you ask me, and this can be a newsletter. People on Substack have got nice lives. I always say this as well. Is if you've got 1,000 people around the world interested in what you've got to say, and they're paying £10 a month, that's 120 grand a year. Thanks very much. So this is the answer to many people's dreams in many ways. And if you can have retention metrics like that, then you want a winner. John Baxendale. When am I coming to Morecambe? Yeah, I'm not coming to. I'm not coming. I'm actually going to do. This is a bit of news. I've said it before. I'm doing a van tour across the UK, 10 towns in 10 days. I don't think Morecambe's on the list, but I was in Morecambe during lockdown actually before I even got the van. So I might be swinging around there because my partner lives lives in St Anne's, which is not far from there. So we may swing round to Morecambe. We shall see. Ryan, any tips on creating B2B thought leadership to attract qualified leads? I'm bored of PDFs. I mean, the thing about the PDF thing is that it kind of works. And I know it can get boring, and I see a lot of them, but some of them do pique my interest. So I was talking about like Segment earlier. It's kind of a software business, and they do a lot of this, and it can work, but it's just got to be interesting. And it's like email marketing. People say they're bored of that. It does work if it's done correctly, and a lot of that is again is going back to Gail is about just perfecting the message, what it says, what it takes to get somebody to download it and actually start reading it. And you'll see companies like someone was telling me like Airbnb, where you get an email from Airbnb and it's got a bit of text and heading. It's got a picture of your login and maybe a friend. It's got a nice email. They have A/B tested every single element of that. Whether it should show a picture of your login avatar or friend, or should have just a picture or your name, or what should the heading size, font size be? How much text should there be? Should they put a picture in the body or not? Everything has been A/B tested to the nth degree. And by the time they finished, that email is 70% or more effective. And that's essentially what you got to do. It's yeah, it can be boring, but I'm always amazed, like email marketing, how it still is very, very powerful. But apart from that, is be is just be more creative. Is try things. A lot of big companies, especially larger companies, they're kind of not particularly creative. And I think if you've got a smaller business, then I think one thing that smaller businesses have, which I will say to you, is that what a big company will struggle to do is to feature your personality. So I don't know how big your business is, but you, the founder, the expert, a big company can never do that. It's faceless. It's just marketing and a brand. That brand may have billions of dollars of value or pounds of value. But in a small business, they can't compete with that. They can't compete with customers talking to someone that knows what they're talking about, who may actually once used to work for those big companies, and those customers can engage with you. They can talk to you. They can interact with you. They can read your document. There may be a follow up live event or webinar or whatever. Is think about how you can you know, use your own personality to bring people into your sort of sales funnel and convert them in as nice as way as possible, as I always say. Right, we're at 7:37. I've got to go and write a newsletter now. So if you haven't signed up yet, you won't get it. Moblogs.com. Um, and I will try and do one of these again, maybe from the new studio. We shall see. And I really do appreciate you all turning up and asking questions. And this is it from this week's live chat. Have a fantastic evening.